Imagine standing on a field where the fate of the world is about to shift, where thousands of soldiers, armed with nothing but steel and belief, collide in moments that will echo for centuries. Warfare has not just taken lives. It has built empires, toppled kings, and redrawn the map of civilization. And today, we're diving into the greatest battles in human history. The turning points that shape the world we live in. For as long as humans have walked the earth, conflict has been a force of transformation. Nations rise because of victory, and they fall because of defeat. Behind every empire's story, there's a battlefield soaked with decisions made in seconds that change the course of centuries. And the deeper you go, the more you realize history isn't a straight line. It's a series of battles, each one pushing humanity in a new direction. Let's go back to 490 BC, to the plains of Marathon. A small Athenian army stands face to face with the mighty Persian Empire. By all logic, the Greeks should lose. They're outnumbered, outmatched, and facing the greatest power in the world. But in one decisive charge, they break the Persian line and send the invaders fleeing to their ships. That one victory saves democracy in its infancy. Had Athens fallen, the idea of citizen rule, debate, and individual rights might have died right there. Instead, the victory at Marathon ignites the golden age of Greece. Fast forward to 331 BC. Alexander the Great meets the Persian king Darius III at Gaugamela. The stakes? Control of the known world. With brilliant maneuvering, Alexander destroys a force nearly twice his size. Persia collapses. Greek culture spreads across continents, and the seeds of Western civilization take root in Egypt. The Middle East and Asia, mathematics, astronomy, libraries, all of it flourishes because of a battlefield victory in the dust of modern-day Iraq. Now shift to 216 BC, to the Roman Republic. At Cannae, Hannibal, the legendary Carthaginian general, encircles and annihilates an 80,000-strong Roman army. It becomes one of the most studied military maneuvers ever created. Rome seems on the brink of collapse, but instead of dying, it adapts. Rome reforms its legions, changes its tactics, and ultimately becomes the most dominant empire in European history. Cannae didn't destroy Rome, it forged it. And then there's 1066, the Battle of Hastings. William the Conqueror crosses the English Channel, defeats King Harold, and changes England forever. The language transforms, power structures shift, castles rise, and a new era of monarchy begins. Without Hastings, there is no modern English language, no Shakespeare, no British Empire. It was a single day, with a 1,000-year impact. In 1415, at Agincourt, Henry V faces overwhelming French forces. Mud, longbows, and discipline turn the tide. English archers pierce armored knights, and a smaller, exhausted army wins an impossible victory. Agincourt reshapes medieval warfare and shows the world that technology, not just noble birth, decides who wins on the field. Jump to 1526 at Panipat. Cannons roar across the field as Babur's Mughal army faces the Sultan of Delhi. The battle introduces gunpowder warfare on a massive scale to the Indian subcontinent. Delhi falls, the Mughal Empire rises, and India enters a new era of art, architecture, and culture that still defines it today. Then 1571, the Battle of Lepanto. Christian and Ottoman fleets clash in the Mediterranean in one of the largest naval battles ever fought. The victory halts Ottoman expansion into Europe and preserves the balance of power. In 1775, Lexington and Concord, the shot heard around the world. A small band of American colonists take on the British Empire. The battle sparks the American Revolution, leading to the birth of a new nation built on radical ideas: liberty, self-rule, and democracy. Those ideals spread far beyond America's borders, inspiring revolutions across the world. Then comes 1815, Waterloo. Napoleon Bonaparte, the man who conquered Europe, faces a coalition led by Britain and Prussia. One final charge, one final stand, and the Corsican lightning bolt is extinguished. The defeat reshapes Europe's borders for generations, ending an era of conquest and ushering in nearly a century of relative peace. Skip to 1863, the Battle of Gettysburg. Union and Confederate armies collide in the turning point of the American Civil War. After 3 brutal days, the Confederacy is forced to retreat, and the path toward the abolition of slavery becomes irreversible. Gettysburg is more than a victory. It's the moment. America begins redefining what freedom truly means. And then the 20th century, the century defined by global war. In 1942, Stalingrad becomes the bloodiest battle in human history. The Soviet stand halts Hitler's eastern advance, breaks the German army, and turns the tide of World War II. Without Stalingrad, the world map and every life in it would look very different. In the Pacific, Midway becomes another decisive turning point. 4 Japanese carriers are sunk in one day, ending Japan's dominance at sea and shifting momentum toward the Allies. The war and the world begins to change. And of course, D-Day. June 6, 1944, Allied forces storm Normandy. The largest amphibious invasion ever attempted cracks open Nazi-occupied Europe and leads to the liberation of millions. D-Day is not just a battle. It's a symbol of collective will, sacrifice, and the belief that tyranny can be defeated. By the time the century ends, the nature of warfare shifts again, from open fields to skies to cities to cyber networks. But the lesson remains: battles have shaped everything around us. Borders, languages, laws, inventions, even the ideas we argue about, often trace back to moments decided by soldiers who never knew their choices would change history. Now here's the problem that history leaves us with. Warfare has been one of humanity's greatest engines of change, but also its greatest source of suffering. Every victory brought progress for some and tragedy for others. Every empire built something and destroyed something else. Our world today is the result of conflict, and unless we learn from it, the cycle continues. So what's the solution? Understanding. Teaching history honestly, studying the causes of war, recognizing the warning signs, and learning how diplomacy, cooperation, and leadership can prevent the next devastating conflict. The future doesn't have to be shaped by battlefields, but only if we understand the battles that shaped our past. The story of humanity is written in courage and fear, ambition and survival, triumph and loss. But if there's one lesson these great battles leave us, it's this: we are capable of changing the world in a single moment. The question is whether we choose change through conflict or through wisdom.